Yo, what's goody, fam? I want to talk to y'all about stillness. I want to talk to you about the value of stillness, the art of stillness, the why of stillness. I'm a I'm an introvert. Stillness is part of my day every day in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's just for a few minutes, I need it. I require it. It's like oxygen for me. I play games to be still. Okay. But I feel like stillness is something that benefits people. Even if you're not an introvert, I feel like stillness is something that everyone can find value in. Humans have a tendency to get very impulsive and get very reactive when things get uncomfortable, when things become uncertain. And developing a practice of stillness gives people the tools, gives people the skill of one being able to endure uncomfortable situations. It gives people perspective on situations, and it creates space for us to engage ourselves in our inner world and evaluate the experiences that we have so we can, pull insights from them and move forward in life in a more enlightened way. I noticed there's quite a few people, in my life, varying levels of connection that tend to, I've noticed tend to use escapism as a coping mechanism, or they're conflict averse, or they don't like difficult situations, and their means of coping with that is to distract themselves. And so I'm of the opinion that that's unhealthy, right? And everybody has their coping mechanism, so I'm not judging anybody. But what I've learned is that fear grows with time. If there's something that makes you anxious or uncomfortable, the more time that you allow between you and it grows and it becomes something massive, and then it becomes heavy and it takes a toll on us. And so I feel like taking the time to sit with what's going on, acknowledging what's going on, and figuring out what you want to do is important. And stillness, I find, is the platform, is the medium, is the vehicle that allows you to do these things. Me, I'm an introvert. I'm somebody who requires stillness on a daily basis. I find time, even if it's a few minutes, to just be still, be to myself, and it helps me stay grounded. It helps me stay connected to myself. I'm grateful for stillness, whether it comes in a form of meditation, you know, or it comes in a form of just sitting and, checking in with myself. Stillness has afforded me the opportunity to find my voice and get familiar with my voice and get familiar with, my energy and my essence and my spirit. We live in a very, very noisy world. We live in an age of information. We live in probably the most distracted society that's ever existed. And being bombarded with all of those messages really disconnects us from the present. It disconnects us from ourselves. And finding time, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, an hour, whatever it is, it creates an opportunity for us to unplug from the matrix and reconnect with our essence, with ourself. And I feel like it's important because, I can remember being at, different times, periods, crossroads in my life, and realizing that I wanted to change, but I was like hitting a glass ceiling. And it's because I wasn't aware of maybe some of my beliefs or some of my programming and where it came from. And so these stillness practices allowed me to sit with myself. And even for that moment while I'm in isolation, be able to confront myself, ask questions. Well, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? Where did it come from? And when I ask myself these questions, right, When I asked myself the questions, what I was able to discover was I was able to identify the parties involved in my inner world. When I say the parties, right, there's the programming that I got from, my parents, my friends, my community, things that they told me, lessons they would try to give me, gems, all of that. And then, I had to create space between myself and that. And inside of that, you know, I sought out, you know, divine connection and divine intervention and being able to hear that voice, right? Those things that just pop into your spirit, that intuition, that, invisible wisdom. I want to be able to hear that. I want to be able to connect to that essence. And so I need to create separation between that as well. But also in doing so, I need to be able to identify my voice. I need to be able to connect with myself and be clear about what my voice sounds like, separate from, the divine, separate from, you know, my foundational programming. And only then, when I identify my voice, am I able to be my best, most authentic self. I'm able to choose for myself in a meaningful way. And that provides a sense of clarity, and that clarity gives confidence. And so I'm gonna connect the dots, right? So having that level of clarity and confidence when I'm faced with seemingly difficult or uncomfortable circumstances, I'm never swayed or I'm not thrown off my square because, again, I have a level of clarity. I can see things clearly. I have knowledge of self. I'm comfortable with myself. I know me without the influence of other things and other people, and I'm able to make choices that are always in alignment with me and my best interests. Make choices that honor myself. And so in doing so, like there's a tremendous amount of power in that. There's a tremendous amount of value in that. And I've found that the more that I confront myself, the more freedom I experience. The more rich my life becomes because I'm able to be fully expressed, but I'm also able to experience life and experience things that most people shy or run away from because they don't think that they can overcome it, or they don't want to deal with being uncomfortable. And I've just found that there's lessons there. There's gold. There's gems in that. And I want to get everything. Like when I clock out of here, I want to feel like I'm maxed out on life. And again, I notice, there's people, that I've come across, people that I know, people I'm connected to. And I just noted that their, their coping mechanism, defense mechanism, whatever you want to call it, is to withdraw, is to escape, is to distract or deflect. And again, I want to speak to y'all about stillness because I think there's a tremendous amount of value. How you go about practicing this, is up to you. You got to find, like, and I may have mentioned it before, but like I literally play a game with myself. Like I'll go out into the world. I might be going on a walk somewhere. Even if I'm running an errand, I could be driving, whatever. I always try to find a pocket of stillness in the midst of chaos. And I try, like once I find it, I try to hold on to that zen, that stillness for as long as possible. And like anything else, it's like a muscle that you develop. It's something that you build. And so I'm developing and I'm cultivating that muscle in the gym of life. And so when things are happening, when things is popping off and it seems crazy around me, I'm always able to stay grounded. I'm always able, people are like, yo, you just seem unbothered. It's like, I'm cool. Like I'm grounded in self, and you know whatever's going on is outside of me, and I do my best to make sure that it doesn't penetrate, my spirit, doesn't penetrate my essence. But again, it comes from practice, and it comes from work. And if you want to learn and grow, you can't run from that work. You gotta run to it. Some people run from it. I'm a person for better or for worse, that if something makes me uncomfortable, I tend to lean in and run to it. Now, I tend to, maybe be aggressive about it, but I like to confront challenges and things like that head on so that one, I can either learn, or two, I can remove the feeling of something being anxiety producing or things being uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar and I don't know what's around the corner. So the quickest way for me in my mind to make that go away is to just confront it, deal with it, and move on to the next thing. But if you're looking for ways to practice stillness, right? I mean, obviously there's meditation. So you can, download the Headspace app and meditate for 10 minutes, right? You can go, I don't know, for some people stillness might be, found in journaling. I journal as well, right? That allows me to connect to myself in the present moment. Maybe you play a sport. Maybe you are able to just connect to, you being able to do this thing that you love. Maybe you're into arts. Maybe you're creative. Whatever it is, you gotta have some sort of outlet that allows you to practice stillness. There's a ton of research that shows, the benefits of stillness on the body, on the mind, on the soul, the spirit. And maybe in another video, I will talk about my experience doing a silent, meditation retreat. Basically, me and my wife basically went and lived like monks for like 10 days, but it was a whole lot of stillness. And that was probably one of the most enlightening, excruciating, but enlightening experiences of my life. Because even in that experience, I had to confront myself and be with myself in a way that I never had before. And it showed me a lot. I learned a lot. My body, my emotions, my spirit went through pain, but on the other side of it grew because of my time, during that experiment, experience, whatever you want to call it. So I invite you to figure out what that gets to look like for you, what's possible for you through stillness. Drop a comment below. Let me know what your stillness practice will look like. Choose something. And then let me know what's possible or what you hope to gain access to through practicing stillness. Take it one day at a time. Try to do it for 7 days. Do it for 7 days. Maybe try to do it for 30 days. I don't know. Maybe I might come up with a little challenge or something for us to connect with as a community. But again, drop in the comments. Let me know what you're going to choose as a stillness practice. And then let me know what you hope to gain access to through this practice. I want to see what's going on. I want to connect with y'all and, let's start a conversation around stillness and the value that it provides. Again, like I said, even if it's for 5 minutes, what can you do to incorporate some stillness in your everyday? Just some food for thought. You do the dishes.